that the Rams can be 11-4. They can be the first team that clinched a playoff berth in the NFC, and they are right now going on the road as a 5 seed. It is crazy. Seth Rollins, your assessment, and I beg of you, if you could, just maybe not about the Bears, like at the NFC as a whole.
The NFC as a whole is wild. You look at this playoff picture, you look at the Bears. I mean, how many teams have been in that number 1 spot already this season?
You're right.
The Bears have been there. They have, but it's a rotating, and it's not done. It's not done. You know, this is just the start of this final stretch. I mean, you got big games. Seattle's got to go play San Francisco yet this season. San Francisco's got some big games coming up, and they're sneaky, man. They're sneaky. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey has been pretty healthy all season long, and when he's healthy, Brock Purdy's healthy, Kittle's healthy. That is a dangerous. I'm looking at if I'm the Rams and I'm the Seahawks, and I'm looking down at the San Francisco 49ers right now, I'd be a little concerned.
Yeah,
absolutely, would be a little bit concerned because anybody in this team or in this division can still take this division, can still take the number 1 seed in the NFC, and then you got some of these squads in the North too. The Lions, they're not out of it. The Bears, the Packers. I mean, there's a lot going on here. This NFC is loaded.
The Niners are like that grizzled vet wrestler who knows what he's supposed to do, but then sometimes he goes off script and he's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to handle my business, but I know that I'm always a competitor and I'm always going to try to come out on top. You know what I mean? Seth, did I make the right parallel with that?
Yes, they stay in the mix all year long, and they know when to peak. Season, all right? It's that time of the year. It's mania season. You know when to peak, okay? So you can't run wild all year long and just expect to be at your best at the end of the year. You know, you got to ebbs and flows as the season goes. So, yes, they are the veteran. They're well coached. They're a good team. They're going to be in that. They're in the fight, man.
Yeah, January 4th is going to be that game that I think is going to be the next circled NFC West game, right? That's when the Seattle Seahawks go to Santa Clara and they play the Niners. Now, talking about the Niners, the reason why I think the Niners are scary in all of these matchups is regardless of injuries, this is one of the more efficient teams in the NFL. They are one of the best at 10 plays or more drives. They are one of the best at time of possession. And I think if you watched last night's game, you saw the time of possession difference in the first half. Set of guys, I think they start to lean on each other a little bit better, and they start to play more cohesive defense. And that's what I see from Robert Saleh's defense. It's a bunch of young guys that they all do their job. They know their role, and they do it very, very well. So this San Francisco 49ers team is a hard team to beat because they are so unified, because they're so efficient. And so when you look at them and the rest of the matchup, I think the Rams are going to win out. If you look at the Rams' schedule, they got the Falcons and then the Cardinals, and then they're done. Yeah. I think they win out, right? So for the Rams, finishes the thing off strong. It's for the Niners and the Seahawks, those matchups are going to be the ones I think is going to say a lot as to what the NFC playoff and picture looks like from in the playoffs.
You brought up such a good point, though, Manti, the glue piece of, like, you know, a team's closeness and how they're meshing. This 49ers team has kind of went through the gauntlet this year. I mean, we're acting like they didn't have Mac Jones throwing up on the sideline, battling to get wins in the middle of the year. And they're not healthy now. We know that the 49ers have a long way to go as far as health, but they're getting pieces back, right? They're starting to become the team that you want to see in the playoffs. Purdy's there. Purdy's getting better. He's getting healthier. Christian McCaffrey's getting to that point. So we're going to start to see them get better and better. They're kind of the dark horse. They're the dark horse of this situation. It's exciting to watch. Here's the issue, though. They play the Colts. They play the Bears. They play the Seahawks. All three of these teams have something to fight for. I mean, these are not teams that are in the Cabo column, as we call it, that are planning a trip for the offseason. So that's the biggest battle that they have. They're playing teams that at any moment can pop off and be, you know, the front runner as far as how they look on Sunday or Saturday or whatever day they play now, because the schedule's changing. But again, I agree with you, Manti. This team is meshing exactly the way they need to here at the end of the year, and they're going to be fun to watch the next few games.
Well, Seth brought up a great point, and they peak at the right times. And when you do that, when you have that attribute, that comes with the E word, experience. Like everybody talks about the Chiefs and how long their reign has been. Now, a lot of people talk about for the past decade that this San Francisco 49ers team has been a team that has played late into the playoffs every single year. The only reason why people really don't talk about them is because they haven't won a Super Bowl yet. But they've been in the Super Bowl. They've been in the playoffs year in and year out. I think last year was the first year in like 12 years that they didn't make it. So this is a team that has pretty much the same outfit. We have the same coaches. Robert Saleh coming back was a huge deal for them defensively. And they're showing it with the pieces that they have or the pieces that they don't have. that franchise has the experience of being in big-time games late in the season, and their efficiency at which they play at, I think, is a reflection of that experience.
I will say one thing. The one concern that you have when you look at San Francisco, because they are very well coached on both sides of the ball, one concern is the lack of consistency throughout the season. I think that's the thing. If I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan, I don't have a lot of confidence just because they haven't strung together a series of games where you're going, okay, this is what it could look like as we start to move forward. You've seen glimpses of it, but you've also seen Brock Purdy throw 4 interceptions, 3.5.
Yeah.
So you see where there are holes and where that could be. You mentioned the matchups they've got coming up. They've got Indianapolis, San Francisco, Seattle. These are some big games, and so these are good defense, turnover-prone defenses that are going to exploit these weaknesses. So we'll see how it matches up. San Francisco has been sneaky, but you're right, Manti. Been consistent for years, and that speaks to the personnel, but also the coaching. It's a great franchise.
Darnold threw his 4 picks against the Rams. Look how he bounced back. Look what he can do, all right? Listen, something that Kyle Brandt, our colleague, said yesterday about this game before it was played was that this was Seahawks prom. The Rams were coming to town, the Seattle, this was their big dance. This was the home and the birthplace of Amazon, and it was on Prime Video and all that jazz. All I can think of is the final scene in the '87 classic Can't Buy Me Love, where Patrick Dempsey is rolling off in the lawnmower, and he's like, yeah, I got the girl, all right? Seahawks, you got the win. You got that playoff berth, and you may have just sealed home field advantage. I know Tom Pelissero knows what I'm talking about. Actually, Pelissero's not a movie guy. You're more a music guy. But, Tom, lawnmower scene, you got me?
Oh, absolutely. It's an all-time classic.
Okay.
Although I'm not going to lie to you, just looking around the table right now, if I may comment briefly here, Jamie, you look like you're snuggling up with a cup of cocoa on Christmas morning.
Tom.
Isaac also looking very casual. You got Manti there who looks like he's going to sell me some fish sticks. The only person I really hear is Seth, who is dressed like a true newsman. This is how it's done right here.
Man.
You got the tie, you got the shirt, the jacket.
Professional.
That
Double
right
Windsor.
there is a man
Tommy P.
who is ready for television, and that's what we're all about here. Let's talk about some injuries.
By the way, we're just calling the
impacting
crossfire
these
here.
games.
Can you imagine if Seth freaking Rollins was the news delivery man? I'm not sure what I would believe and how I would interpret that.
I've done the weather once and didn't go well.
Never went back.
I want to see an insider segment with Seth at some time between now and the Super Bowl. Let's make that happen. For now, it's still me. Let's talk about some of those injuries for impacting the games this weekend. Starting out with Steelers star linebacker T.J. Watt, who has not practiced this week and now appears unlikely to return on Sunday against the Lions. Watt missed last week's game after undergoing a procedure to fix a small hole in his lung. There was some optimism initially that Watt might only miss 1 game, but at this point, he is taking it slow in terms of his recovery. Really, the game that matters for the Steelers, quite possibly, is still 2 weeks away, because even if the Steelers lose their next 2 games and the Ravens win their next 2 games, it is still winner take all week 18 when the Steelers and the Ravens meet once again. Meanwhile, the Eagles have ruled out 2 of their key players for their game on Sunday. Defensive tackle Jalen Carter underwent surgery on both his shoulders. Lane Johnson still is dealing with an injury as well. There had been some hope coming into the week that maybe Johnson would be able to get back at least onto the practice field. That has not happened yet. Potentially Johnson could be in play to come back from that foot injury next week against the Bills, although if the Eagles win tomorrow, he can probably afford to take his time. They are win and in NFC champs by beating the Commanders. Jamie.
Tom, thank you so much. I thought you were going to say, look at this table comprised of 3 gentlemen born in '86.